YouTube. Welcome back to Overlord Alex Gaming. In today's video, I'll be covering my melee-only guide to completing Testing Station 152, otherwise known as the Lightning Lab. In today's video, I will go over my abilities, skills, armor, weapons, loadout, and strategy to take down the boss, so all of you guys can get better at this doing melee. Alright guys, let's go through the weapon real quick. As far as which melee weapon you want to use for this boss, you can use a pulse sword, you can use dual blades like Leech's Maw, you can use a rapier, you can use daggers. It doesn't really matter too much, but the augments are what's going to matter as far as you getting the most out of your weapon. I'm currently using the heavy metal blade coating, I'm using the heavy blade adjuster, and the blade sharpener. These are the trifecta of best in slot augments you want for any melee weapon right now when you're trying to clear high level content. You can alternatively use the edge optimizer if you haven't gotten the blade coating yet. I'm currently using that on the sword we're going to be using today in the demonstration video part of it. So I'm using this sword. As you can see, it's been through many fights. So if you manage to craft a sword at 200 durability, let me tell you, you can get a lot of use out of it if you're one or two shotting most enemies in the game right now. So, but let's go through the armor real quick. We're rocking a full set of Bulwark for this fight. You can change out a couple different pieces. If you wanted to run X-Cores, if you wanted to run Pincushion, you could do that as well. Personally, I've just found that I'm really tanky of the full set of Bulwark for the Lightning Boss. Even if I make mistakes, I can take at least 4 to 5 shots from the boss itself. Even when I'm in a down but not out state, I can take 2 of his shots, so I won't get one shot at when I'm down. So I don't even have grade 5 on the second piece for any of these right now, and I'm sitting at about an 85% damage resistance with just the armor itself at grade 5 and grade 4 for some pieces. And then on top of that, we have double dart mitigation, which is going to stack on top of that and give us a lot of resistance against this boss's attacks at level 40. So I highly recommend getting a full set of Bulwark if you can. Farm it at the Fire Lab. Watch some of my other videos for instructions on how to do the Fire Lab. They go hand in hand as far as, farming the Fire Lab before you can do lighting, or doing lightning Fire Lab. So, but let's move on to skills and techniques and abilities and all that fun stuff. We can go through that before we get into the boss fight itself. Alright guys, let's go over the abilities and the skills we're going to choose here on the skill trees real quick. I'm going to include stuff that you can add if you're playing in a group or really struggling to have survivability yet, if you're just starting out. So if you don't have a full set of Bulwark, for example, and you want ways to survive tanking the lightning boss's hits, there's a couple things we can do to mitigate that, and I'm going to go through that during this part of it. So starting off, we have center of mass. We're going to put points in field maintenance. We're going to get our usual suspensor dash efficiency over here. And then we're going to have 3 points in garment keeper. We're going to put the usual points over here in rerouting and overcharge. And then something you can optionally do if you are really struggling with the boss and not taking hits really well and you want your shield up more, you can put 3 points into conservation of energy. This is going to effectively give you a 9% increase in your effective shield tanking against hits. This is going to work for both the ads and the lockout room and also for the boss. So you can put this on instead of suspensor dash over here for the boss fight or even the lockout rooms if you'd like. And then moving on to the Bene Gesserit tree, we're going to have our usual manipulate and stability, wording step. We're going to put a point in compel, voice training, the usual vitality, self-healing, all this kind of stuff. You don't need to put a point in poison tolerance. That was just a fat foam over there. Now, something you can optionally do, guys, for this tree. If you are, again, struggling, your shield's down, you're constantly getting hit by the lightning, and you have a partner, it's possible to do this one with solo, but if you have a partner and both of you guys have Litany Against Fear, you can both alternatively pop Litany Against Fear back and forth when one's on cooldown and keep up a lot more damage resistance against the attacks, from the lightning boss. So this is an option for people that are playing with a group or a duo. So, and if you're having a tough time surviving the hits, you don't have the best armor yet, so pick that one. And then over here, we're going to do our usual long blade damage because we're using a sword. If you're using a short blade, put the points over there. We're going to have deflection. We're going to have confidence. We're going to have reckless lunge. Now, optionally, this is where there's a little bit of creativity. you can have disciplined breathing if you're solo and you want more sustain for your stamina, because stamina management when you're wearing a full set of heavy armor is really important, especially because during the boss transitions, you want your stamina to get back as soon as possible so you can get back in the fight and start swinging. And also, we're going to have knee charge at level 3. Since I'm running this solo, I can run knee charge for the lockout rooms. We can run it for the boss optionally too, but I usually run inspire for the extra damage to the boss. So you can use that too. This is another option too. It's good for both solo and group. Now, something that I do want to talk about, if you are, again, struggling with the boss and damage resistance, if you can fly around the arena and use Reckless Lunge, this is going to mitigate both the arena's lightning damage as well as the boss attacks itself. So Reckless Lunge has, I believe it's like a 6 to 8 second window of effectiveness of getting that damage mitigation. So it's very helpful. That combined with confidence is going to really up our damage mitigation against this boss. So I would definitely use these two as your third technique, respectively, for Reckless Lunge when you're fighting the boss if you're having difficulty tanking it. So let's get into, though, the abilities and techniques we're going to use at both the lockout room and the boss encounter, though, real quick. Now, for our skills and techniques, as I mentioned before, we have a couple different options here. You can use either Cripple Strike or Knee Charge for the lockout rooms if you want this to be your lockout room build. Waiting Step, Compel, pretty stable. Techniques, I do this for the lockout room. So you can swap in Reckless Lunge or this one, Breathing, for the lockout rooms if you need it. Personally, I like to have a little bit of speed to run through the rooms, so that's why I have that. Now, for the boss itself, as I mentioned before, Reckless Lunge, you can use Disciplined Breathing, you want Center of Mass, Manipulate Instability, and now, optionally, and I didn't mention this before, and I want to just touch on this real quick, you can have Source of Power on your bar instead of Knee Charge or Inspire. This is good for group play too, where you can just constantly have a source of power up to charge your shield so that your shield never goes down after getting hit by the lightning or the lightning boss's attacks itself. So that's another good insurance policy if you want to play a little more defensive. And as far as other techniques, you can use Dispenser Dash as well if you want a little more mobility, but I don't really have that issue with having Weirding Step. So you can also have both Cripple Strike and Knee Charge on your bar if you want to constantly gas out the boss and break his poise and get more stamina drain when he does his little dodge, because when you're in melee range of him, he's going to try and dodge out of the way, and if you have Cripple Strike on him, he's going to basically get gassed out every other time he does that. So just something to keep in mind. You can have more time to have basically stagger windows to do extra damage to him, and since we have maxed out combat and sabotage, we do 50% extra damage to staggered targets. So this really adds up, along with having Manipulate Instability, to give us a stupid amount of damage and using melee. Melee and shotguns benefit the most from this ability, or technique, I should say, and the specialization. So just keep that in mind. But I'll show you guys some gameplay footage of me clearing both a level 19 and a level 40. And you're going to notice that at level 19, the boss becomes a joke if you have maxed out specializations as well as this build. So, but enjoy, and let's go take a look at the footage of the boss clear. Alright guys, let's go through the level 19 fight real quick first. Gotta give a brief explanation of how this fight works mechanically. Now, every phase, the lightning is going to get a little bit harder to dodge in this fight. It's kind of like a 8-slice of pizza, basically. These different regions are going to light up on the later phases. When you're melee, you're not really spending too much time looking at the board. You're kind of just trailing the boss. Now, you could compel the boss into positions. I like to try to keep the boss corralled in the one quadrant to the right, right by the entrance to where we spawn in for the boss. If he can't go there, then I'll try to just chase him and use my bulwark to kind of tank the hits if anything goes awry. You're going to see for the level 40 fight, there's definitely going to be some moments where it's just, things go wrong, and it happens with this fight. So no matter what you do, you're going to probably make mistakes doing this fight with the lightning once in a while. So the idea is with melee to stay just up close and personal with him and disengage when he uses his dispenser blast, as you see. And since I have so much damage with the Sabotage and Combat Tree, we're kind of just taking big chunks out of him, especially when we have Inspire up. But as you can see, the fight doesn't last very long for 19s, and it's kind of just, you know, user-friendly if you have the right gear and setup. And as I mentioned before, there's a lot of safety net things we can do with Source of Power and, you know, let Reckless Lunge and stuff like that. So, but before you know it, the fight's over. Alright guys, for the level 40 fight, it's going to be the same basic mechanics. We're going to try and weirding step into the boss and basically close the distance every time. Now he's moving around a little bit more in this fight, as you can see. I got unlucky, I didn't like kind of lock him down like I did in 19, so now he's kind of in the middle, and I could compel him, but just because I'm trying to man mode him a little bit with the bulwark, I'm not concerned too much. As you can see, like, you know, I can tank the hit still. I'll try to compel him over to the corner a little bit to make sure we still have some breathing room and some stamina. With melee, you always want to make sure you have some stamina up so you can dodge, so you can weirding step, you know, all that fun stuff. And as you can see, even during phase 1, it can be a little bit challenging with the lightning once in a while. So with melee, because you're kind of trailing him and you're at the mercy of where he goes, unless you want to compel him. Try to keep Inspire up, drain his stamina as best you can. When he gets gassed out, he does, you know, you get a lot more stagger bonus damage. Like I said before, you can equip Knee Charge, Cripple Strike, stuff like that to gas him out more and get his stamina depleted, so it's pretty helpful.
Will bring you down.
Now phase 3 is where it gets a little bit dicey. You're going to start seeing more lightning pop up. I try to keep him, I try to compel him there, but it looks like it failed. So I'm trying to keep him in this quadrant over here so I can just kind of step back and forth. You see where that lightning just went off? That is where you're going to be sidestepping back and forth typically. If you're using ranged. With melee, it's kind of a little bit hard to do. So usually trying to do my best over there to stay in that quadrant, tank a hit or two from the lightning, and then the lightning will go away. And once it's on the ceiling, that's your DPS window. When you see it go right in the middle right there, you know that the lightning's going to be coming. So either you tank it, like I did right there, or you jump up to the ceiling. Because you'll run into a stun like I just did right there, so you'll get hit a couple times. And if you can't tank that, then it's going to be not a fun time. So we got DPS window right here. One more. And boom. We phase him just before the lightning came down that time.
You've seen too much. You're powerless. Need another man.
This time I jumped up for the lightning, as you saw. As soon as it goes to the ground, you want to jump up twice. Dodge the lightning, and it's going to spawn right where we are right there sometimes. But right by the door, we're going to get hit, usually, and just tank it, and just go about our business. Here's why I made a mistake. I mean, I should have just compelled him, not panked as much. But if you're running that situation, guys, just pray he doesn't kill you when you're down. He has to reload, or he Spencer Blast, especially if you're in melee range. Just pray you don't get knifed, because his knife actually hurts a lot at melee range if he gets that swipe off on you. So that's the one thing that actually does do a lot of damage versus his actual gun when you have bulwark on. And that's the fight, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Love to hear what kind of builds you want to hear next.